It's mock draft season, baby.
Welcome back to the Jameson Dame Show. I'm Josiah.
And I'm Will.
And today, we're doing our first mock draft. Maybe a first. I don't know how many we're doing. But
First of however many.
yeah. But it's getting to that time of year where we're going to start doing mock drafts. I mean, we've been looking forward to this for a while, especially since the Super Bowl ended.
Mm-hmm.
Because the draft, it's coming. And it's what is it? Almost a month away now.
Yeah, it's about a month away.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. But here we are. We're going to do mock draft stuff. So, obviously, we're just going to go through the first round. A lot of people to choose from. But, there's just something that we'll kind of look into. Just one round and go from there. Doing more than one round is a little much, I would say, for
At least for
our
now.
sakes.
Maybe we'll get into several rounds depending on
Maybe.
how it gets later. But
We'll see.
yeah, we'll start out and the thing is, so much is going to shift. Especially the first 10 picks will shift so much based off of the first 3 picks.
Yeah.
Actually, first 2, honestly.
First 2.
It can dictate the whole thing. But one of the things before we actually jump in, 2 pieces of news that actually came out today, was actually, this was really interesting to me because earlier this week, Jameis Winston signed with the Giants, and I was like, maybe the Giants are gonna make a move, take a young guy, and have him sit under Jameis, and then they went out and signed Russell Wilson. And then I was like, well, I guess not. What are they doing?
They'll never learn.
So, yeah, that was an interesting move, but that does likely shift their focuses for the draft. Another small kind of piece of information, I mean, it's big, but as far as draft implications, maybe not so big, is the Patriots signing Stephon Diggs.
Didn't I call that earlier?
I think that's something we mentioned. I think a lot of people have said him to the Patriots made sense, which makes it does. I don't think it has too much implication on draft.
No, it just kind of shows where their focus is.
Yeah, it's just getting a veteran presence, but the Giants going after Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston would be really peculiar for them to take a first round quarterback, and I'll get into why that is the case, but first we have to get to them, which they're number 3, so we'll start at number 1.
Yeah.
Although I will say part of the reason why that conversation is there is because there was a bit of time where people thought that the Giants might move up to number 1.
Yep.
But I think these moves of getting Russ and Jameis are enough to say that they're not getting a quarterback. They're not going to give everything for a quarterback right now.
No, because, I mean, it would have been a smart move, but...
Yeah, going after a quarterback at number 1, because sitting at number 3, they're in a rough position because you don't know what the Browns are going to do. Mm-hmm. And if the Titans stay, they're probably going to go a quarterback, although they are potentially a team who could move down and take something else because they have so many needs. But I think with the signing of Russell Wilson, particularly, but also having Jameis, I don't think they move up here. So Titans stay on the clock, and I think the move here is quarterback.
Yep.
Now, I don't know the research you've done, but I will say that I think there is a lot more promise and a lot better of a prospect in Cam Ward than Shadur Sanders.
Really?
I do. I think Shadur is probably more... He's pretty polished. He's put a lot of work into his game, you can tell, but Cam Ward is such a fun prospect to watch. Everyone knows him for his nonchalantness in the way he plays. I mean, he looks the most lackadaisical when he plays. But he plays well. He has good ball placement. He has good zip on the ball. He's got some stuff to clean up, like footwork, that Shedeur is a little bit better with, and Cam Ward doesn't extend plays like Shedeur does, but he doesn't need to. And I think as a prospect between the two, I think Cam Ward is more day one ready.
Yes.
So
Okay.
I wouldn't put anything. Titans can take anything, and I don't think Cam Ward is the best prospect in the draft. But if they stay there, it's probably for a quarterback, and I think this is Cam Ward. So
Okay.
we'll say that. But I would not be surprised, especially if they moved it down, if they went after any other piece, because there's a lot of pieces that aren't quarterback. It's not a super top-heavy quarterback class like we had last year, but
No.
there's a lot of good pieces in this class.
Yeah. It's good to see because I'm kind of tired of being like, this quarterback will go this place, and this quarterback will go this place.
There's a lot of unknowns with this one,
Yeah, and I like it.
unlike last year where it was, here are the first 4 picks.
Everything else is kind of meh.
Yeah,
But,
this one's got some very good prospects, but Cam Ward at 1, I think, is to kick off this mock
That's fair.
draft. Then we get to the Browns, and I think the Browns have the highest potential to screw this up for everybody because they need so much.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're going for either need, which would be probably a quarterback. Quarterback is a pretty big need. Your quarterbacks right now are an injured Deshaun Watson and Kenny Pickett.
Yay. Yeah.
So they're not in a good spot. Or you go, who I believe is probably going to be the best player in the draft, in Abdul Carter. Because Abdul Carter, especially putting him opposite of Myles Garrett, would be terrifying.
Ooh, that's scary.
It would be terrifying, but the thing is, they don't have a quarterback. Like, as of week 1, their quarterback is Kenny Pickett.
Yeah. I mean, there's also later prospects down the road, too.
They
That
are
are second rounders.
but I would say, based off of who you have here, I wouldn't bank on. I don't think they'll bank on a quarterback because a lot of the guys down the board are a little bit more developmental. These guys are your best chance. Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders are your best 2 chances at a starter right now. And I will say, it might be a hot take for some people. Shedeur Sanders is probably I think he's overrated.
Okay.
I think he is not worthy of really a top 5 pick based off of what I've seen out of him. And that being said, I still think the Browns take him here because of their need, because it's the Browns. They don't make... It's kind of a move that I can see them making. Now,
Okay.
it'll be curious to see because Dion has come out and said that he was hoping and praying that if anything it'd be the Giants, and then the Russell Wilson signing came out, so we'll see how they react to that. But it doesn't seem like he wants Shedeur going to Cleveland, but that'll be interesting to see if the Browns try and take him and Shedeur kind of says no. That'll be an interesting move and development, kind of what we've seen a few times happen before. But I think this one's going to be Shedeur.
Okay.
And then this is where, if these are
Ooh.
1 and 2, this is where it gets interesting because the longest time it was Giants need a quarterback. Now they don't really need a quarterback, but they need so much otherwise
Yeah.
that so much is at their disposal. I think they're in a situation of, we need a lot of rebuilding. Get the best guy available.
Abdul.
I think, well, here's my caveat. I think it does go back and forth between Carter and Hunter, between who's left. And I think the reason I will say Hunter. I think it's Hunter because one, you have Kayvon Thibodeau and Brian Burns. You have some two already pretty solid edges, but Travis Hunter, most likely you can put him on defense. He's probably going to play most defense. He'll play realistically the way if he plays both sides of the ball, it'll be corner and then maybe 50% receiver snaps. But and I'm guessing this might be something that went through your head. You get him on defense as a corner, and he's good there. But then on offense, at least 50% of the time, you get him with Malik Neighbors.
That's pretty good.
You pair that with Russell Wilson, who he's had his ups and downs over the past few years.
But he's still okay.
I think there's a lot more upside in getting Travis Hunter for them.
I can see that, especially with depending on what you think about the Patriots and what I already have picked who the Patriots are going to pick up. I think I can see it working for both of these teams, especially if the Giants pick up Hunter here. Then I like the Patriots picking up another person here.
So, well, and that's an interesting thing. I think if you're the Giants in this situation, I think Travis Hunter is your pick.
I'll pick Hunter.
I will say Travis Hunter. The team I would love to get Travis Hunter actually was the Patriots because I would love to see him on both sides. But obviously, the Giants taking him off the board in front of him, you're kind of left with a few options. I mean, there's still a lot of good players here, and I'm guessing you're probably eyeing them looking at Abdul Carter.
Yeah.
I actually think as this is a toss-up because there's so many good players here, but there's also needs that they have. And I think with Travis Hunter, I think is probably the guy they're eyeing the most. They got Harold Landry, so they got an edge in free agency. I think something that they'll be considering, and I think where they might go in this draft in the first round, is actually a tackle, because they did struggle on the O-line.
You're right about that one.
And I think, I mean, you went out, and one of the things to consider with some of these decisions, and you'll see it further down the road, is also who they're bringing in as a new coach. So
that's true.
Vrabel, he is a defensive guy, so I think that could push towards Carter, and I think Carter, again, is phenomenal. But I think the Patriots might want someone to protect Drake May.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I mean, the Patriots were one of, if not the worst team, depending on who you're arguing with, in the league last year. So, I mean, they need to protect their quarterback. I mean, if they want Drake May to succeed, he needs protection. So, I mean, offensive tackles don't seem out of the picture here. I'm okay with getting a tackle here. Do you think it will be like a Campbell or Membo or?
This is where it gets interesting, because I have looked at many mock drafts, and there's 3 guys who have been mocked as the top tackle, and it's a rotating door. It's Will Campbell, Armand Membu, and Kelvin Banks. All have been mocked somewhere in at least the top 10, some in the top 5. I think based off of scheme fit, I think it's probably Membu or Campbell.
Okay.
But I feel like Membu is more of a fit for the Patriots. So I personally see, I had Membu to the Patriots, but I could also see it going other ways. I just feel like Membu is more their fit, and I think he kind of fits more what they would want to do.
Okay. We'll do that
Membu,
then.
which puts the Jaguars
here we go.
in an interesting spot because they need best position available.
Yeah, they have defensive tackle. I mean, I'm looking at their needs. They have defensive tackle, tight end, cornerback, offensive tackle, wide receiver. Yeah, I mean, true, but Abdul Carter's just sitting there.
He's just sitting there, and they have so many needs. And there's also rumors of them trading their edge. I think it's Trayvon Walker. I'm mixed up names.
Pretty sure it's Trayvon Walker.
There's been rumors that they trade him, which if you got Abdul Carter potentially coming in
that kind of
Trayvon
changes.
Walker has not lived up to his hype.
No, he's been kind of disappointing.
You took him over Aiden Hutchinson. Yeah, so they might, especially if this is how this falls, I think you take Carter here. Could they get someone who's a little bit more a need? Sure, but I don't think anyone, even if they're filling a need, could be as much of a game changer as Abdul Carter for them.
No.
So
We'll do Abdul Carter then.
I think Abdul Carter makes a lot of sense. Now I know you've seen this kind of as a potential option, and I do think this is how this is going to go. Raiders come up, and boy, they fixed a few things,
Yeah.
but at number 6, they kind of got a glaring hole at just weapons,
Yep.
and so I know you've probably seen it a bunch lately. He's been mocked here in so many mock drafts lately.
Yep.
Ashton Genty at number 6. Now, I will say, this is also potentially, if there's a team to move up to try and get Ashton Genty, I wouldn't be surprised. One of those teams potentially being the Bears could potentially move up to 5 or 6 to try and take Genty, because he is one of those prospects that is like, he seems like a generational running back.
Yeah, with the potential. Yeah. There's, for some reason, I've been around people who think that he's going to be a bust.
Interesting.
Yeah. That's my kind of environment right now. I don't know what people are thinking. I mean, that's just their opinion. I'm not going to argue with them. Maybe. But I think he'll be decent. I don't think he'll be a bust.
No, I think I've seen a lot of people mention how good his O-line was at Boise State, and I think that helps a lot. I will say I know that there's a lot of hype around him, a lot of potential for him to be very good, and I think the Raiders with Pete Carroll,
Yeah.
I think he's kind of, especially with the way they've built, they're not really going through a rebuild right now. They're going through
reloading.
They're like, they said, skip rebuilding. We're just gonna pick up all these pieces and try and play for something this year. So I think Genty is kind of that guy you throw in there and can boost your offense a lot. So
Yeah.
I would say Genty.
Interesting.
I think the only way he doesn't is if someone like the Bears try and make a move.
Yeah. All right. So we have the Jets now. This is one where I'm going to pick a defensive tackle or offensive tackle, probably Graham or Campbell.
I love where your head's at, because this is, I completely agree. Trenches is the need.
Yes.
And the reason I
for the
actually
Jets.
think you have a really good point, because I actually had Graham here, because I mean, obviously, again, trenches is a need. There's a lot of things they need to work on, but you bring in a guy like Aaron Glenn, give him someone to kind of build a defense or help build up that defense.
To build up, yeah. Because this was the one area where I was like, yeah, I know what they need. I don't need to argue with it myself.
Well, I think
about
they need
this.
a few things.
Yes, but this was the one place where I was like, they need this person right now, kind of situation.
Yeah, they didn't do too well addressing. They didn't address free interior D line through free agency.
Yeah, free agency was
so
kind of quiet. So this is probably where they pick up Graham.
I like
be
Mason
honest.
Graham. He's a very high prospect as an interior D lineman. They're not super common, but usually we'll have like one every year, every couple of years.
Yeah,
Who
and a
stands
couple
out.
of Michigan guys up here.
Yeah, Michigan. They had a good defense.
Yeah.
Offense, not so much.
Yeah, that's kind of what happens after a championship.
But Jets will take. I think we'll take Mason Graham if he's there.
Sweet.
Panthers.
And now we got Panthers. Ooh, interesting. I'm eyeing Will Johnson here.
Really, I think that's interesting, because I know everyone has different lists of like what teams need and stuff.
Yes.
I think first round Panthers are looking probably more at a wide receiver or an edge. Get a weapon for Bryce Young.
Yeah.
I mean, he has Adam Thielen. He has Xavier Legette.
Okay.
So I mean, like, those are functional guys. And then edge could just get someone. I think they need just a game changer.
I I like the idea of Will Johnson going to the Panthers, but I'm also not opposed to the Panthers picking up a receiver this early.
Especially
Only-
with Thielen aging
yeah,
and
it's-
getting help for Bryce Young.
Yeah. So maybe for this one, maybe we'll pick McMillan.
Yeah, I mean, things do
It
change.
kind of makes sense now I'm thinking about it, but I still like the Will Johnson pick.
Will Johnson is he's a very good corner, and it is very possible he goes much higher.
Oh, yeah,
It's just kind of like how these teams are going to value who's going to go for need, who's going to go for
for flash.
just best player. I think McMillan is going to potentially just boost that offense, and I think it has desperately needed that
Okay.
for the last 2 years. So
All right. Well, we'll get McMillan then.
give McMillan, and then the
Oh,
Saints.
here we go.
Saints, they have
They need guard, receiver.
so the needs I addressed for them were majority first round tight end or wide receiver.
Okay.
Because, I mean, they've had injuries. They suffered a lot of injuries. Their defense is pretty solid, but you're also bringing in Kellen Moore, an offensive-minded head coach.
Yep.
Probably get someone to give Kellen Moore someone to build an offense around.
Ooh.
And it's not listed on here as a need, but I think it could potentially boost that offense. Is Tyler Warren.
Yeah,
who is
I'm seeing what
work-
you're seeing right now.
He's been a workhorse for Penn State all year, and I think if you're Kellen Moore, you see that and you go, I can make something out of that, and that's kind of where I was leaning for them here. Now they could go corner because they did lose a few. They've lost pieces over the years, or they could look at a receiver such as the likes of, say, Matthew Golden. I know has been sometimes even mocked over Tedero McMillan, but
Interesting.
I think they have solid receiver prospects, and I think a tight end, a bigger body who you can kind of just rely on giving him the ball, would do really well, and I think Kellen Moore would really thrive off of that. He's always had
Yeah.
well, the years he's had good offenses, he's had a good tight end. He's had Dallas Goedert, and back with the Cowboys, he had, who at the time was it, Schultz? Dalton Schultz, I
Yeah.
think was who he had then. Didn't really have anyone at the Chargers, and that's when he had a really bad offense. But I think kind of getting someone at tight end for Derek Carr to lean on, I think would be great for the Saints, and I think that might be where they could look.
We could look at Warren. I like the idea.
Yeah, I mean, and there's a lot of good guys here, but they've dressed offensive tackle in years past, so I think they look past that. Again, Will Johnson is still there, but I think getting someone so that offense give Kellen Moore a little bit more to work with.
Okay.
And I think Tyler Warren is. I think that's their best option, personally. But
Okay.
I don't know if you have any other.
I don't really have any objections right now. I mean, Saints need to fix that offense particularly. Yeah, weapons and guard, really. That's what their major priority is. I mean, tight end does help. So,
Yeah. So Tyler Warren then.
sure.
All right, then we get the Bears, who
So now that we've been left with who we have right now, the Bears have been addressing that line.
they have.
And I think to better that line, you pick up Campbell here because that offensive line paired with the two that they picked up earlier this year through free agency and trades, those three will be really good. And if they can figure something out, Caleb Williams will not be dying in the pocket for all next year.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
I think, Ben Johnson coming in I think he wants to get some protection for Caleb. It would be that or a weapon, and I think the weapon they would look for most. I mean, again, they could go for a Matthew Golden. You missed out on Ashton Genty. So you could go receiver. You missed out on running back. I think Will Campbell, though, falling this far, you just you get
he's
that
right
piece.
there.
I think, and they've been doing it. Is building up the trenches has been their off season, and I think that continues in to the draft. So I think Will
agree.
Campbell here. So
Niners,
you come up with the Niners. Niners have lost so many pieces. They were
especially on defense.
decimated.
So, like we were saying earlier, for this last pick, whoever falls to them defensively, the highest or the best defensive player that they get here is who they pick. And Will Johnson currently is the one who's sitting here.
Yeah,
They need help.
it'd be him or it would. I've also seen them go after in certain mocks. Jahdae Barron, I think is pronounced his last name. From Texas, he's another corner.
Oh yeah,
He's another guy who has been mocked up here, but I think Will Johnson is.
he's right there. And
He's right
really
there.
Good.
He looks so good, and I think he also fits them a little bit more than a typical Texas corner. So I would say Will Johnson. We'll move on to the Cowboys.
What the heck do they do here?
This is the thing. It's not just what do they need, but also what is most likely for them to take, because
it's hard to predict what they're going to actually pick.
Jerry could have traded up to get Ashton Genty. He probably won't.
He probably won't.
I think it's more likely the Bears move up, but without moving up at all, I think I identified as needs for first round potential guys. Like I mentioned, running back, receiver, and interior O-line are all potential guys, but I think they also lost DeMarcus Lawrence. You have no idea if you're even keeping Micah Parsons right now. They're going to try to, obviously, but he might not stay. So I do also have a highly touted edge as a potential option, and kind of as the guy I saw them going with.
Well, I think Stewart or Williams would be a good pick here, specifically with how things are shaking out with Parsons. Do you want to go with? Well, I'll take your word for this one. Do you want to pick Williams? Because he said he might be a better fit here.
No. Now that I think about it, it might be Stewart. Stewart might be more a Cowboys pick, not necessarily that he might be better or actually a better fit, but I think he fits more what they would go after. Okay. I think it's a more typical Cowboys pick.
Okay,
so I'll pick stick with Stewart.
Dolphins. So you have Booker and Banks Jr. sitting here. That's something they need to address. Was that O-line?
Yeah. I think Kelvin Banks is the guy I think they would go for, because he specialized particularly in the pass game, and we know how the Dolphins like to play. They're largely just speed.
Yes.
But I think getting someone, Texas is huge on speed as well. I think it'll be an easy transition and kind of what they were looking for. So I do see Banks as a good fit.
I definitely have Banks over Booker right now, but I would not be opposed to having Booker here. However, like you said, if both of those team schematics have been speed, or a lot of it has, Banks Jr. makes the most sense here. So I'm cool with Banks.
Plus, tackles tend to get more value than guards.
That's also true.
Needing both, I think they would lean towards tackle in the first round. So Banks goes, I think, here.
Banks. All right, so
Colts are interesting because, and I do agree with the team needs here. I think they either need interior guys or a tight end. They lost two big linemen to free agency.
Knowing the Colts and their situation right now, I don't know which one would be the smarter move, going after an O-line here or going after a tight end. I really like Colston Loveland going to Indianapolis. I really like that idea.
I have seen that a few times, and he has been kind of a riser as a tight end lately. I think we could go Loveland here.
Okay.
I was kind of a toss up between the two, and I honestly, if this is how the board falls, I do see that kind of being the two decisions for them. We move on to the Falcons. Who
This one's going to be a mess.
they still need an edge.
They do.
They've needed an edge for years, and they
Mikael
never.
Williams is just sitting there.
Will they
Or
ever actually
Pierce
go
Jr.
for edge though? They've gone 3 years in a row
They got
of
it.
needing edge, and they went tight end, running back, quarterback.
They need to get edge here. I will burn Atlanta down to the ground if they do not pick an edge this year.
But what if the Colts go Booker instead, and then they get a replacement for Kyle Pitts? Take Colston.
That'd be funny.
It would be. But
That'd be kind of ironic.
Hey.
I will say, though, I hope that they actually wake up and realize that they need it. I want them to pick an edge here. For that team, I think Williams might be the better pick here. I don't.
I think it's edge or safety.
It's,
I think is who you pick up.
It's got to be edge. Like, I don't think they need an edge so badly.
They do, which is why, like, if it was any other team, I'd be like, oh yeah, they're gonna go edge. I have no idea with them though. We'll say edge because they need it so badly. But I don't trust the Falcons.
I don't think anyone has after Super Bowl 51.
As far as edges available,
You want to do Williams?
I would say probably Williams or Pierce here. I know Scorton is a little bit higher. He's been not quite this high, but he's been kind of like a 20s pick, so he's a potential riser. One guy I am so surprised he's not even mocked in the first round half the time is Mike Green from Marshall.
Oh yeah, that guy.
Because I loved him this last year, but I think as far as what the Falcons do here, I think that's a little bit too much of a rise for him. Just between Pierce and Mikael Williams, we'll go with the Georgia guy. We'll take Mikael Williams here.
Okay.
I think I don't know enough on the edges yet, so it's kind of like a 50-50 shot, but I think Williams, stay close. Stay close to home.
Okay, so we got the Cardinals here. Who do they really need?
Cardinals, I have listed probably receiver, D lineman, or corner. Receiver probably not as likely with them have just getting a first round receiver last year. So maybe helping building up that D line or a corner. The thing is they made big moves in free agency, picking up Josh Sweat. That was their big acquisition.
Yeah, I was about to say Josh Sweat.
But they got was it Dalvin Tomlinson as well? So, but I believe they run a 3-4, and their interior is not great.
No.
Which is why I see Derek Harmon as a more potential, better option for them.
Okay.
But again, getting.
I think if you think that the interior is more essential or more needy, then we can do Harmon.
I think Harmon. I don't know if it's necessarily what I could see the Cardinals doing, but I think it is a good.
It's
pick
probably
for the Cardinals.
Probably the best pick for them. I mean, I like Pierce or Starks going here, but I could see Harmon.
I think their safety room's okay enough. As much as it would be fun to get someone alongside Buddha, I'm gonna stick with Derek Harmon.
Okay.
Now the Bengals.
All right. So anybody on defense?
Probably now. It gets iffy with them because what is happening with Trey Hendrickson?
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like there might be a move there, but there could be. Honestly, it's probably going to be best defensive player probably.
I mean, you got Walker as a linebacker, you got Starks as a safety, you got Pierce Jr. as an edge.
There's two good safeties on the board.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that they need to go linebacker here. I think it's going to be D-line or defensive backs.
Yeah, I do agree.
So
they don't they don't necessarily need linebackers right now. I was more because especially with Trey possibly leaving, they definitely need to worry about that interior.
So you're potentially losing Trey, and you lost Sam Hubbard.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot of pressure to pick edge here.
Yeah.
As much as I think a defensive back could be really useful for them, they don't. Especially if Hendrickson's gone, you don't have anything on the edge.
Yeah. Well,
So
maybe for our sanity, maybe we'll just pick Pierce or
I think
Scorton.
I think Pierce fits. I think they'd go safe with Pierce. I think
Okay.
Scorton is a little bit of a reach, and I don't.
I know that's just the next edge on the
Yeah,
list,
I don't. I think they kind of stick with the safer option.
Okay.
So Pierce to the
Pierce.
Bengals.
Seahawks. Hey, look, Booker.
Booker, yeah, they just need O linemen. They O linemen so bad.
Yeah.
O linemen and receivers, because obviously they kind of cleaned house. And
Yeah,
that's-
but they need to fix that line.
it's O line or receiver, because their O line isn't good, but you have JSN, you have Cooper Cup. Do you feel confident with just those two, or do you want someone else? Because again, Golden is there. He's been a riser. I don't know if he really fits what they would want to do.
No, probably not. I think for safety, I think they pick Booker here.
I could see Booker here. I'm just saying, like, the counter argument being receiver, but I do think Booker is probably the best bet with who's available.
Yeah.
So we'll say Booker.
Okay. So, Buccaneers, they got options here. Safety was probably one of the biggest things that they needed to focus on this last year.
It's
I
don't
or
know.
corner.
I don't
one
know
of
if
the
you
two.
noticed the team needs that are listed here. I completely agree. It's the entire defense.
I know it's the entire defense, but this area specifically needs focus. And
It's just I
They
think
got-
it's the best guy available for them.
I mean, Starks is just sitting here. I mean, Walker is also here.
I think linebacker is the one thing you could get away without getting in the first round.
Do you think they pick up Starks here, or do you think they go a little bit lower?
I think Starks could be a good pickup. It would be that, or probably. I think they missed out on some of like the elite edges in the first round. So I think Starks, Emin Wari, who
Emin War, yeah.
he had
And
a
then-
lot of lift from the combine. He had a very
Yeah.
good combine.
And then Barron's just also sitting
Barron
here,
is
too.
there as well. I think but again, I think it's just best guy available.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
between
mean-
Starks and Emin Wari,
I like Starks.
Starks he had been the higher guy. Emin Wari is getting so much uplift though from his combine. He had a ridiculous combine, but
Do you think that the Buccaneers will take the risk with him? I mean,
I think they could.
if
They're kind of an
if you think his
unconventional-
combine is as good as people have been saying,
they're kind of an unconventional drafting team. They don't pick consensus guys as much, and I think Emin Wari has enough of that uplift from his combine. I think they might take that over Starks. And I could be wrong. I have not looked as much at safety, so
what?
I'll say Nick Eminwari, though, from South Carolina is going to be the pick here.
All right, we'll pick him and worry.
Broncos,
Ooh,
I mean, as far as need, anything being a need is, but I think a weapon would be so nice for them.
Golden is sitting here.
Golden is sitting there. Is he the
I-
kind of guy they would pick up, though? Because he is kind of just. No, yeah, I
Ibuka
think,
is later down the road, but that's a while away.
yeah, I think Golden's probably a better bet.
I like Golden going to the Broncos for some reason.
Yeah, I think Golden they
just-
pick up pretty easily.
Okay, I like this one. All right, we'll pick Golden here.
And
Steelers.
this we've gotten away from it for a little bit, but it comes back into discussion. Quarterbacks,
Oh, I forgot about quarterbacks.
and
Good.
this is where it's interesting. Comes down to where does Aaron Rodgers go? Because in the first round, if the Steelers don't get Aaron Rodgers, this
They're-
is likely going to be a quarterback.
Yeah, I would say here, let's hedge on the bets that Aaron Rodgers does go to the Steel City.
Assuming he goes to the Steelers, I don't think they take one here. I think they take one later.
Yeah. if we're going to go non QB, do you think they pick up the best defensive weapon here, or do you think they focus on a little bit on offense?
I could see any of these defensive prospects. There's so many. And they could just, I think, honestly, it's going to be who's the best guy here just to make this defense that much scarier. I think Jalen Walker, who is kind of just a do-it-all linebacker, I don't know if they have enough room for him to get any playing time because of how stacked they're like.
Their linebacker core is pretty good, so I'm not.
Between off-ball and edge guys, I just don't know how he.
Do you think cornerback or safety would be something that they work on?
I could see them going Starks if he could get in the rotation. Him alongside Minka would, I think, work. Honestly, probably Starks is who I would hedge my bets on here.
He's also a Georgia guy.
He's a Georgia guy.
So they like picking up Georgia people. So
we'll go Starks.
We'll pick Starks, yeah. Chargers. Ooh, interesting.
Receiver? Who's available at receiver?
I mean, you got
Egbuka and
Burden the third
are probably your who they would look at here. Otherwise,
they might pick receiver here.
I just have a hard time seeing who else they would go for.
Who would? Because who's a receiver right now in the Chargers? They have
Mike Williams.
They have they just got Williams back. They have
Ladd McConkey.
And they also have why can I not remember his name? The guy who couldn't catch a ball for his life.
Quentin Johnston.
Quentin Johnson.
They also picked up a tight end, I believe.
Okay.
But I don't remember who.
I wouldn't be surprised if Egbuka gets picked up here.
Yeah,
because they need like at least a solid 2 at receiver. I don't know who would be number 1, especially with Mike Williams being back. Yeah. Williams would probably be third. Yeah, it'd probably be.
He's gonna just that veteran presence.
Yeah, it'd probably be Johnston. I don't know, Johnston, McConkey, and then probably Egbuka, and then Williams in rotation.
Yeah, I'm just trying to go between Egbuka and Burden. I could see Egbuka.
Yeah, we'll pick Egbuka.
Then we got the Packers, who
desperately need a number 1 wide receiver.
And here's the funny thing. No, because the Packers do not pick receiver in the first round.
I know. I'm just saying.
They do. They need one, and I think they're going to get one. But it's not going to be in the first round.
It's going to be a cornerback, isn't it?
It's going to be probably corner edge. And with who's available...
It's going to be Barron, isn't it?
I think...
Or actually...
I think they might go edge. I think Scourton...
Okay. We can
I think is a potential fit for them.
We'll let them pick Scourton then. I was also thinking Revel.
As far as I think if it's corner, I'm not as high on Revel as I am Barron. Yeah, as I am on.
I know Barron's really good, but Revel isn't that bad either.
But no, I think it'd be Scourton. I think they go after the trenches and get the pressure. I think as long as Jair's still there, I think Edge gets a little bit more focus. I think they can get a corner further down.
Okay.
So I'd say Scourton. Vikings, they've had a pretty good offseason, and you already came away with a pretty good team. You have JJ McCarthy probably being your starter.
Hasn't been named it yet, but yeah.
So they lost a lot of defensive backs, though.
They did. There's a couple linebackers, cornerbacks up here. There is Talik Williams later down.
I think defensive back is where they need to go because they lost so many. They need to replace. You kept Byron Murphy, and you have Harrison Smith, but they need someone else. I think there, and I could see Barron being that kind of guy. Unless they could potentially just go best defensive player, because I think Jalen Walker at this point has fallen
way too much, yeah.
But I think they need defensive back based off of how this offseason has gone.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm okay with Barron.
I would say Barron, this is, I think, a good fit for him. Or like a good mutually
Oh,
good
here we
fit.
go. Yeah. If we pick Barron here, which I think we have, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Texans. Yeah.
Oh, like O-line?
Yeah.
They need...
Simmons.
Yeah, just best O-lineman available. Ooh, unless they move up, I think Simmons, they need so much on that O-line.
Yep.
And we get down to the Rams, who...
This is where Walker
Yeah,
goes.
this is where Walker goes. He just falls...
A lot farther than I thought.
Yeah, and the Rams just get kind of a free, good defensive player.
Here you
Gets
go.
overlooked. But there you go. There's Jalen Walker. He can play on the edge. He can play off ball.
Yeah.
He's going to be versatile. Ravens...
All right. I'm going to let you explain your reasoning for who you think.
I have said for a good amount of this year, I would love an elite edge rusher. And maybe it's not where they look. They usually don't.
No.
But I would love for them to go out and get Mike Green because I really do like him. And so that's going to be my pick
Okay.
is Mike Green because I love the year he had at Marshall. Obviously, lower competition, but he still caught a lot of eyes. So I like him there. And
I'll bite.
that was one of the mocks I saw in someone else's mock that I was like, that is my favorite pick. That is the one I would love.
Okay.
So
Well, I'll
come up on Lions. Everyone says they just desperately need edge, and I don't blame them. Put someone opposite of Aiden Hutchinson, and
Who would be that person though?
my boy Donovan,
My boy Donovan.
Boston College edge.
All right. We'll let him go to Detroit.
You're allowed. We grant you permission.
Oh.
Commanders also in need of.
There's a lot of people who need an edge this year.
Yeah, and they're kind of. I mean, here's the caveat though: the Commanders are just a good team.
Yeah.
They've built a very good team, and so edge is kind of like one of the last things they need. I don't even know if you're looking at edge again. You're looking at some guys down the board.
Yeah, I was about to say they might pick up later down the board. I'd say in this scenario they probably stick to corner or
I think they probably. I think with the talent,
linebacker.
I think it's Campbell or Revel. Maybe they pair someone up with Javon Hargrave, who is their pickup in the offseason. Pair someone with him. They do still have Daron Payne, so I guess probably not as much a priority.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's corner or linebacker, just shore up that position a little bit more. I think they could go Campbell for the Commanders. I think Campbell, kind of just a guy in the middle of the field.
Okay. I like Campbell. So
I wouldn't be surprised if the guy I'm about to mention goes here as well, but he's much lower for some reason. But we'll say Campbell.
Okay.
And here's the guy I was going to talk about. He is a corner. His name, Maxwell Hairston, had a ridiculous combine. He is a very good corner who mostly is projected near a first round, like a late first round caliber corner. He's listed really low by these metrics, but
Hello.
57 by these metrics. He's
there he
corner
is.
from Kentucky. What did he run? He ran a sub 4.3,
Oh.
I believe it was. Sub 4.3 40, and he has just a really, really good capability to jump balls. It's like he's so fast.
Okay.
He's like there's some cleaning up as far as actually like how he covers, but his ability to jump, passes, and the way he plays, I think he could fit in a Bills team who kind of needs another corner, especially after losing Rasul Douglas to free agency.
Yes.
So then we get the Chiefs. I think this says certain things. I think they really want a lineman.
Yeah. Especially with how much they've lost.
Especially with, again, they kind of always address they're always late in the first round, but they always seem to just address need at the end of the first round. And last year it was just receiver.
This year's definitely on the line.
They could go receiver because of how much trouble theirs have been in, but I think you go O-lineman of some sort. Looking at who's there, I think if you're getting someone here, I will say Zabel from North Dakota State is actually a guard.
Yeah,
but
he's a guard.
he has been listed as guard and tackle, so he potentially has some versatility and could really help them out.
Do you think they take Zabel?
I think with who's available, that is probably their best bet.
All right.
And then we get down to the Eagles, who,
Eagles.
knowing them, they're just going to get the person who should have been taken a long time ago, who is way overlooked. And who would that person be? I'm not exactly sure.
It's
Who's just
guards,
fallen to them?
cornerback, tackles.
Realistically, probably none of these people. It'll probably be someone we projected like
Way earlier.
18, 17, someone who's a really good guy who just fell. Who's not there right now. So we'll say, realistically, they did lose a lot on that defense in the offseason.
They did.
I've honestly, all three of those defensive tackles that are sitting there, I've seen as first-round potential guys. I think that's probably where they go.
Okay.
Because they do so good at picking up interior guys. I just don't know which one they would go with. I think Tyleik Williams is probably the person I would lean towards, but I've seen a lot of Walter Nolan in the first.
Mm-hmm. I like Williams. So.
Fair. We can go Williams. And that actually wraps up our mock draft 1.0.
Yeah.
This is probably going to not look anything like the draft or how our fourth or fifth or whatever our last mock draft ends up being of the year. It's probably going to change a bit, but I feel pretty good about our first pick. 80% sure that that's what's going to happen.
I'm about 70-30 right now.
But
That's decently confident.
there's a lot of mixing up that could happen here.
Just a little. I would not be surprised if there's a bunch of trade downs or trades up, especially in the first 5.
Well, and this is this is the first time in the Common Era draft that every single team has a first-round pick.
I just realized that.
Does that last? I don't think so.
No.
I don't think every team is going to have a pick.
It'd be amazing if that were the case. And they get to like the 32nd pick. They're like, we're going to do it. And then someone trades up. They're like, gosh darn it.
Yeah, I think it'll probably be someone trading out late. But
Yeah, it's probably going to be later down the board at the very latest. But definitely top 5 are definitely wiggle room, I'd say, for a bunch of teams. Depends on what the Titans are doing. It all depends on what they're going to do.
Yeah, I mean, if they don't go quarterback, that
changes a lot of things.
It would change a lot of things because then you really might see Shadur Sanders on the Steelers.
I don't like that. No.
There's a lot of rooms for things to shift, and it can, like, if Abdul Carter goes 2,
It's possible.
that would shift a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's those early ones are going to shift things so much, and obviously, again, there's always trades. So there's going to be trades, even if everyone still ends up with a pick. There's going to be trades.
Oh yeah.
Just who's trading for who? That's where it gets
I don't
interesting.
know.
But that is for us to decide at a later date. This is,
To be continued.
yeah, Mock Draft 1.0. Here we go. How did we do? How do you like the picks we made for your team?
Mind you, we didn't really trade anybody because I think this entire time we were just, we'll just pick the best one off the board. We didn't trade anybody, so we'll add trades in later.
We'll do trades later.
But with a no trade draft, I think we did okay. Draft? There were definitely some picks that might cause some stir, but I think overall, I mean, this is a pretty loaded draft, I'd say, non-QB wise. So I think a lot of people are going to be kind of fine with whoever we pick, unless you say otherwise. I don't know.
It'll be interesting. I'm so ready for draft. Loved it last year. More excited for it this year.
I marked it on my calendar.
Make a circle around.
If I could electronically do that on my phone, I would, or my computer, whatever works. But yeah, thank y'all for joining us. A little bit of a longer video means there's more details, more things to think about. But we'll probably do a few more of these later down the road, especially with a chaos draft. But until then, we'll be seeing you in another mock draft or whatever we kind of throw out there soon. So see ya.
Bye.